This is the finished result of our collar. You can see how beautiful it is. Thank you very much for staying tuned to my channel. If you love this video, share, like, and subscribe to my channel. God bless. Bye. Hello dear viewers, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to couple a two-piece collar. I have a tutorial on how to draft the collar. If you don't know how to draft the collar, please make sure you watch the video for that. I'm going to link it right in the description box so that you'll be able to watch. Then if you have watched that, let's start sewing together. So to start sewing your two-piece collar, you have to match the right side of your collar together this way. Then start sewing by the seam allowance left on the case. In this case, I left half-inch seam allowance, so I'm going to start sewing the collar right from the base by the half-inch seam allowance I left. So before you get to the angle of the collar, you drop your needle and rotate your collar this way. Then start sewing by the seam allowance. We are going to sew all the way to the end, other side of the So by the time you get to the other side of this collar, we repeat the same thing we did at the other side here. Rotate your needle, then stitch down by the half-inch left. Having done that, cut, then trim the edges. Trim the edges this way so that you'll be able to push out the points when you turn your collar. It's not necessary you trim it. I just like trimming it. So now I have turned the collar inside out, then I pressed it neatly. This is the collar stand. Note that it's still in pieces. I have not sewed it together. The next thing to do now is to match the notches. This is a notch at the center of the collar. Then this is another central notch here. All we have to do now is to place it this way. Place it this way. Then we are going to put it inside the collar stand, matching the notches. Okay, let me remove the pin so that you'll be able to see it there. So place it this way. This is the fused one. This is the one without any fusing. Match the notch this way. Then do the same thing here. Mash the notch like this. Then we are going to secure it at the middle. When you are mashing it, you are going to put something into consideration. Note that this curvy edge, the curvy edge of our collar stand, is going to be up by the time we finish sewing it. By the time we want to fix the collar stand to the neck of the cloth, this is the one that is going to be up, so when you are mashing your collar, make sure it's upward like this. Make sure you didn't mash the lower part, you didn't put the lower part here. It should be up like this. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. When you if you watch closely, you understand me. Then secure it. I'm going to pin it all around there. Now that I've mashed the collar stand and the collar together, I'm going to mark 0.25 from this base downward. From here downward, I'm going to mark 0.25. That's less than ½ inch. I'll do that here also. So this is where I'm going to start my sewing. So you are just apparently going to mark the seam allowance you left. That is what you are going to mark. So I left 0.25 in that place. Ouch. So that is why I marked 0.25. If you are going to use ½ inch, make sure you mark ½ inch. Sorry. Come on. So as you are sewing the 4 layers together, make sure your seam is trapping all the layers. It must trap the 4 layers. I'm going to stop here. You can see I didn't sew it down. So I'm just going to trim this edge like this. Here it is. So now look at this. We are going to turn it inside out. So have you seen now? Look at it. This is the wrong side, so this is the right side of it. Now I'm going to give it good pressing and show you how we are going to further sew it. I haven't pressed our collar. This is it. So now the next thing to do now is to grab your fabric, cloths, whatever. you mash the right side of your collar, the collar stand. Now mash it inside like this. Place it at this back notch, place it at the central back of the back neckline, then mash it inside. You can start mashing from outside also, but here I want the seam to be concealed by the time I want to sew the back this way. So note that the fused part, the part that has interfacing, is the part that will be first mashed inward like this. So when you mash the neckline all around like that. So I will mash it and let you see. Sorry guys, I don't want to bore you with too long video, so I went ahead to mash the neckline. You can see, look at it very well, look at it closely. I mashed it inside this way. The fused parts, I put it inside. It's facing the wrong side of the neckline. So having done that, now we are going to simply sew around inside like this. Then we flip this place after sewing it to cover it at the back, if that makes sense. So please follow as I sew. Now I'm going to turn it this way. Look at it. Turn it to the back like this. Then sew by the seam allowance we left, the 2.25 that we left when we were sewing the collar stand. So this is why we didn't sew it all the way down. So we are going to stitch by that same allowance now. That is what I will use to stitch it. So make sure you pass stitch and keep sewing. Make sure you are not stitching the back, the other fragment, piece of the collar with it. So now we're going to sew it gently till you get to the other side of the collar. As you are sewing, you have to cross check. Make sure you are trapping the two pieces. We are almost at the other side of the collar now. So yeah, here. I haven't sewn that. The next thing to do now is to flip our collar up. Look at it. This is the outer part of the shirt. This is the back. Look at the inside. So for us, why we stitched it inside first, we stitched it first inside because we want to be able to control our seam here. We can control our seam here and stitch it close neatly here. But if you stitch it outside first, by the time you want to stitch it inside, the seam you are stitching inside may not align to this neckline. It may not align to where it's supposed to be outside, and that means it will deface the cloth outside while it will be neat inside. But now using this method will make your cloth neater, because you'll be able to control it outside while you are sewing. We pay more attention to that outside than the inside. Okay, now let's stitch the raw edge of the collar close now. So all you have to do is to flip this raw edge, flip it inward this way, then cover your collar by the 1/2 inch 0.25 we left. You can pin it before stitching, but let's just stitch along. I don't want to pin to waste my time. Make a back stitch. So this is how we're going to do it. So you stitch neatly, concealing the earlier stitch you have done. So this is how we are going to do it. So then let's continue sewing until we get to the end. Just make sure you are holding it to cover the seam so that it won't be showing at the back. Do that gently. I think I have to pin it now because it's shifting. I don't want it to shift unnecessarily. This should align to the shoulder this way. I think I should pin it. It's as easy as anything. Please make sure you do your own. Let me see. So yes, so that it should. Sorry, I have to correct this piece. So now we are going to continue sewing it. Now I've pinned it, sorry. So if you can't sew yours without pinning, you can pin it so that it won't give you problem. Remove the pins and sew gradually. Please don't mind the white thread. I have to quickly finish it here so that you can see. So this is how we're going to sew. So guys, I stitched it all the way to the end. Sorry, my phone went off, so I have to show you how I did it. So I just stitched it. I continued stitching it all the way to the end. When I got here, I rotate it this way, then I stitch to create a borderline back to the point I started. So you can also stitch your collar to have a borderline, if you want a seam design on the collar, but if you don't want it, you can leave it plain this way. That is all about that. Thank you very much for staying tuned. I hope you love this video. If you love it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel.